everybody. Just calm down.
Girl, just calm down. Well, hello, lovely people.
Good evening. Long time no
Hey.
see.
I
I
know.
know.
It feels so weird.
I miss you guys.
Well, okay.
Wow.
I mean,
I missed you too, Danielle.
thank you, sweetie.
Just going through a lot, ladies.
Are
I
you?
mean,
No, not really. Actually,
Well,
life has been pretty good
I'm like, all I
as
saw
of
you
late.
going through was a baby shower.
Yeah, it was good. I was around family. It was really dope. I enjoyed myself. It was a really good vibe.
oh,
How was everyone's weekend?
we know Jared was outside. What you do, Jared?
I was actually only outside on Saturday and I had a restful Sunday, so it was perfectly balanced.
Look at you.
Yeah, I felt great today.
Reason.
Shocker. Shocker.
Right.
No, I saw they was on the couch all day yesterday.
Literally.
They was on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I haven't had time to even do social media because, as we know, Mama got a house, and yeah, it's a lot of work. So I'm
Right.
exhausted.
That's why she came up here looking like I'm the next Monifa.
I can't wait for the chateau to be completed.
And it is not giving more manner. It's definitely giving Chateau Charest and not Chateau Thelma.
Girl, it's giving spring summer.
And you'll be the first person over for tea.
Absolutely.
Andy was so gagged when she said that. He was like, "What? I cannot." Where are we?
Yes.
What episode are we on? Are we 12 or
11.
11?
On
Jesus,
say.
I don't say. Don't. Wait. Keith.
Don't
No.
say it's 12.
Wait. Ocho.
That's
Oh,
8.
so
Don't
it's
say it's
8.
12.
Don't
Oh,
say
so
it's
we're at
12.
12.
No, on say is 11. We're on episode
Yeah,
11.
they're 11.
We're on 11.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Girl.
Sheesh, my bad, y'all.
Mhm.
But anywho, welcome to the Everybody Just Calm Down the podcast. I am your boy Po Theory.
I'm Jared.
One that y'all love to hate. So you already know. Miss Mamas.
Very fair. Very fair.
No lies told.
Exactly. So yes, let's get into this episode. I must say, just a quick little comment about this episode. This probably may have been one of my favorite episodes this season.
Really?
Oh,
I know. Go
I
ahead.
thought it was more.
Yeah, it's
Really?
probably my least favorite episode this season. Yeah, agreed.
There's something about. I think it was obviously we didn't really have many group scenes, but it felt very. I don't know, like I guess like the down episodes where there's not a lot going on, it still feels like we're getting to know these people, and they all like everyone has very good personal storylines when they're by themselves. That it doesn't really always have to call for group events. If that makes
I
sense.
don't think it's that in this episode. And Jared, correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't that. It was the scene. It was the first scene with Angela and Charles. Like it was just like a real big filler and random things that were happening. Like that, it was trying to be like a family scene, but then it was like a random like jumbo. I didn't know. I was a little. I was like, what is this? But it was like lackluster.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see what both of you all are saying. I think it definitely, the episode was meant to be a let's catch up on everybody individually episode. I definitely get that vibe. It's just the fact that for half of the solo scenes, honestly, I was not interested in them.
Yeah, they didn't give me what I needed them to give. Even at the ending of the episode, still with at the end of, I don't even want to give it away, but you
I
all
was
know
about
if
to
you
say,
watched
can
it.
we hold on now? Hold on a moment. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the episode. And what are we, 4 minutes in? And I guarantee you have not clicked the subscribe button or liked anything yet. So go ahead and click the subscribe button because I'm sick of y'all shit. And that's all I got to say. But anywho,
Mhm.
we open up with Charles and Angela. We learn that Charles is a serial entrepreneur. He owns a couple car washes. He is a retired pension earning basketball player, former basketball player. Again, I keep saying this. I truly enjoy their banter. I've seen a lot of people's reviews. A lot of people are not agreeing with me when I say I enjoyed their banter. I can't remember you guys said you enjoyed it or understood it or
Honestly, the more we watch, I'm kind of getting. I don't really. I'm trying to figure out what Charles's redeeming qualities actually are,
Right.
because honestly, at this point, it's like you're always an asshole. We know you cheated.
Right.
In my opinion, you're not that cute. Besides having money and having these businesses, I'm trying to figure out what he actually gives for her, because to me, I'm not really enjoying it, because there has to be a balance, right? Like when you look at Married to Medicine, for instance, like Simone and Cecil have a dancer, but then you also see that there's love there, but he's just an asshole all the time.
You know what? I agree
mm.
100%. I mean, well, first of all, y'all better eat Jared up for this one because the way y'all be showing me out is crazy. But also, well, I will agree with you there. He is I understand it because again, when you have two strong personalities, it makes sense. And again, it being filmed may not transition or maybe just look well on TV. It may not land well with a lot of people. It looks very like he's an aggressive, huge guy who's just going back and forth with his wife. But I get that that's their thing. I just I don't like it's still weird though. That's what it comes down to. And I agree with Cecil and Dr. Simone. That was a great example because they do bigger back and forth and they do have a really great banter together and it can kind of get nasty, but you know that it still isn't malicious. With Charles, it's a little seedy, if that makes sense.
I couldn't disagree with y'all more. And maybe that's like a sign that I'm looking and dating the wrong type of people. Because I enjoy
Oh,
that type of banter. I really
Toxic.
enjoy that banter. But I don't feel it doesn't feel bad to me. Like it's like I feel like it's like I'm sharpening my tools with my mind. Like I'm always got to be not I always have to be on my P's and Q's, but
If you're with
like
the
I can
right
kind of
person.
see right where they
And
know how to turn it off. I guess we haven't,
yeah.
but we
I'm
go
just trying to
ahead.
figure out like where the balance is. And like Eric, you've even been around me and Des, and like Des and I dance all the time as well. But it's like,
Right.
where's the other side of it? Like even when production asked him straight out, "Do you love her?" He couldn't even say yes to that. Like it's a
yes,
problem.
it was. Yeah, and that wasn't even funny wise. Like that was a serious moment, and he's still even if you were joking, that was like a weird way to like land it. Like that was the time you needed to be on it.
I don't think, oh my God, I am really a Charles apologist, but I don't think that it was him. I think it was more so the thing of like where we keep saying, like, Charles, this is her job. Like, you have to play along. And I think he is actually just being himself in terms of like, why I gotta tell you I love you in front of all these people? Like that type of vibe. You get what I'm saying? Like, where it's not, I don't think he's being a dick. He's just like not playing along and I actually feel like they may have the healthiest relationship on the show. But okay, all right, let's move on because we've been
Now I
here
know
now.
you ain't now.
I mean, there's only like two people that have relationships on the show,
So
so
that's what I was getting ready to
so we're just gonna
compare it
compare them
to.
to Britt and Mike.
And Shamia,
Oh yeah, Shamia. But we barely see
yeah,
but we don't see enough of Gerald to know. Like we just yeah.
that's fair.
We know what type of marriage
Mm-hmm.
that is. We can see it.
But they bring up the family, her family, and she brings up her sister and basically says, which Jared, I would like to say that I was correct. Well, halfway correct because the sister is being bleeped out, which shows that the sister ain't got time for the show.
No.
Obviously we do get to see the mother later on. We'll get to that. But she says that she's been avoiding her sister. Charles tells her that you essentially have to draw the line. And Angela says the thing that really irritates me when it comes to people, when they speak about their families, especially when their families are not, the best for them. She says, but that's my sister. And it's like, okay, that's kind of how you end up in these situations where people feel
Right.
obligated to your money and all the things that you can do for them. And they still treat you and yours like trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I agree. That was the one thing I did agree with Charles on when he basically said, if they're gonna act like that, then cut them off. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
100%. That
Yeah.
was the realest I ever felt from him, to be honest with you. I was like, okay, Charles, yeah, talk your shit. Just let her know, sister, no sister. Listen,
Facts.
you do wrong. We're all adults here. I can't be, and I'm taking care of you too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not.
No. Facts. And so then we move on to Cynthia and Shamia. I must say, this must have been the episode that the checks must have started rolling in because Cynthia did not miss one beat this episode, honey.
That
she
wig was
was
good.
looking good in every scene, but the makeup, all of it, like it was just, I don't know what happened. I guess it just all came together for a child.
Yeah, it did.
But it looked good. This is the one thing I have to say about Shamea, though. I would just love for Shamea to walk in just one time without a billboard of a label across your chest or on your ears or on your pants or on your ass. Like, dog, like, do you want to be a walking billboard? You're a celebrity now. Like, people, well, she's always been a celebrity in terms of notoriety. People know her, but now you actually are a peach holder. You
In
don't get
Atlanta.
paid for stuff like that. Like, why are you walking around like that, dog? Like that, Balmain. Just, I just, ugh.
Country
Not a fan.
girl.
Yeah.
Telling y'all that.
I mean, the one thing we can just all land on, I mean, sweet girl, but she's tacky. And she just apparently is going to be tacky.
I didn't want to say tacky, but it
Go
was
ahead.
like, I didn't want to say tacky, but it really is giving off tacky. And the thing about it is, I don't even consider her like a label. Like, when you call the girls a label whore, like you're blasting it because you're trying to live this life or trying to give off this certain type of energy. She actually is that girl to be able to prance around and do your you know what I mean, whatever she wants, Fendi, runway, whatever. But
I don't view label whores in that way. I view label whores as the ones that like put a lot of value on what they're like, it has to be this and it has to be that, and that is the only way
and
that
it's
I'm
the way they
showing the
wear
girls
it.
that I got it.
Yeah,
Well,
and
yeah,
it's the way
exactly.
they wear it.
Because I stopped talking to a guy one time because he had posted a picture of all, like, he kept posting stuff with his friends, and he was like, it would always be if they were all wearing Rick Owens, or they all had like the same, like a Gucci coin wallet. I'm like, oh, this is so gauche. Like, it's just, it doesn't feel, it's like it gives me the black age old adage of, you ain't used to nothing.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it gives to me. By the way,
Yeah.
y'all notice I'm not being as loud. I'm trying very hard to moderate my volume.
Well, yes, sweetie, you have to.
I think the girls are watching the podcast, and they was like, well, since they've said it, all of a sudden bitches keep walking up to me and telling me I'm talking loud. You don't know volume. His production had the nerve to say that to me in text message the other day. I didn't appreciate that.
I knew that was coming up.
That bitch. He said, well, you don't know volume. You.
He had a few notes.
Right. Go off.
And that's why I'm gonna keep singing to his ass in voice memos. Shit. So I'm a little nervous to bring this up because I know Danielle's gonna lose her because we have Shamea crying over Porsha, crying over a friend, and that is something that Danielle does not stand for. But essentially, Shamea starts to break down about the Porsha of it all, and she feels Porsha should have put her aside. Shamea says that so many people told her that that friendship isn't reciprocated. It's not just what we've seen on the show, but it is also people waiting for them to fall out, so they felt comfortable enough to say, well, hey, dog, we kind of been seeing this.
I think that's exactly what happened too.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard to say, right? I think that this is probably something that's always been in the back of Shamea's head, and now, of course, she's been confronted with it head on, especially considering the fact that they're filming a show together, and now you have these people piping in. So it's feel like it's just something that was gonna be brewing, and it probably would have never came up if Shamea would have never got her piece, because Shamea was just gonna let it slide this whole time. Where I disagree with Shamea is that Shamea is making a big deal about Porsha talking to the other women before talking to her, but Shamea did it first, as far as the timeline goes. So that was the only part that kind of, I was like, well, that don't make sense, Shamea. But it seems like something that either was going to always happen, or they were going to have this friendship with this roadblock that they both willfully ignored.
And I agree with that, Jared. And it's crazy because it seems as though something else is truly brewing, and it honestly looks like it goes generational at this point.
Yeah.
Great segue. Because I want to ask y'all, what you think happened between Mama Morton and Miss Diane? Because I have some theories.
I don't have a theory per se, but I will say something about Miss Diane's energy has always rubbed me the wrong way. There's something about that lady that I don't bang with.
Can I tell you what mine was?
Go ahead.
Mine was when Cordell said that he came home and she was eating pizza in his bed. That was the first time for me. and I wasn't even. I was, we were very young when that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when she first came on,
Yes.
and the reason that bothered me so bad because I had to think about it. They didn't buy that home together.
Mm-hmm.
She
That was
moved
his.
into that home, and
Yeah,
then
that
can
was
you
his
imagine
son.
coming home and then like your mama in the bed eating pizza in our in our bedroom?
In our
It's
marital bed.
boundaries, right? But go ahead, Danielle.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Like in our marital bed, and that's weird. So the first thing, Miss Diane has always been hot pants to me. Always. She has a very sly look to her. And when they showed the throwback picture of the two of them, I said, "Oh yeah, I know. Oh, I know she did. I know she did some sneaky shit. I know she did. I know she did with
You
that
think she tried
smirk."
to talk to Mr. Morton?
I think she tried some shit, and it was like a little bit of we was both in the kitchen at the same time. I may have bent over to get a washcloth or something like that out the oven, and I think that it was something that was uncomfortable because there's nothing. And Mama Morton, I'm not saying she's just because she's a God fearing woman, but I don't see her like completely wilding out over money. I'm not seeing money in the picture. I'm seeing something in as far as that was very close to home, and I'm not seeing
Yeah.
financial. They're because they're too old. They come from a different era, and they're that's like they're old Southern women. So money is really not the. No, I'm saying not old Southern women. Let me take that back. I'm not
No, no,
ageist.
no. I get what you're saying, but I'm saying don't. I know. I get what you're saying, but I don't think that you should take that away from that. That's just impossible.
Of course not. I'm not saying that it's not impossible, but what I'm saying is it was definitely something very close to home to where she ain't want nothing to do with that lady.
And the fact that Shamia, in the confessional would
Say
refuse to say
I'm
what
not
it
talking
was.
about that. I'm not talking about that. And that's something,
Mm.
the only reason why we would know, and this is my last thing, this situation right here with the two moms, we would only know anything about that if Portia or Shamia spoke. Mama Morton and Miss Diane ain't never speaking about this shit to social media. If we find out what happened, it's because Portia or her sister or Shamia broke that fucking story. Just mark my words.
Well, it's definitely Shamia though, because I have some thoughts about Shamia. And we'll get there. But so then we move on to like this quick little montage of everyone. The only two things I have from this like little montage that they did in like mid episode was that Shamia again is almost like she's not using it because it is a part of her life. It is a big deal, the whole Porsche of it all. But
Mm.
she's in her listening session where all of her friends, I mean, all of her family, all of her sisters are there. And she's like, yeah, but it would have been better if Porsche was there. It's like, but all of your sisters are there. Like, y'all
Yeah.
have a very close relationship. Like, let's not beat a dead
Y'all
horse.
and Portia really that close though? You know what I'm saying?
I
Yes,
think
we knew.
so. I think
No, no,
so.
I think they are.
okay, yes, but I'm saying by the time we got to the end of the episode, I didn't feel this way. From you can
Oh,
tell
you
by
just
when
keep
they've
trying
been
to get there,
filming.
girl.
No, no, no. I'm just saying in general, you can see their relationship on the decline every episode this season.
Yeah.
I
So
also
there
will
was
say,
always something lacking.
yeah, but then on that same note, and to give a little grace, I think, especially like as it relates to her mentioning Portia not being in that studio session, we can't forget, although we're not seeing much of it, that Portia is going through a divorce. So
She
Mm-hmm.
is.
if
Yeah,
you
she
have this
is.
long standing issue with a friend that now you want to talk about, to be fair, while they're going through a divorce, is not necessarily the best
That's
time to
fair.
finally bring this shit up.
That's actually fair. No, I agree 100%.
I am with you when you're right. I am
Yeah.
so with you on that. The other thing that stood out to me, and it's just more and more we are like, it's just more and more evidence that Britt is just not a girl's girl. She's not a good friend. Britt says she's looking for, remember, she pulled out the outfits for the wedding, and she says one of her best friends are getting married, and she promised her that she would show up. One, why would you have to promise your friend that you're going to show up to the wedding? That's weird. It should just be a given. Two, if she's so close to you, why are you not in the wedding?
That was the first thing I
Just a
thought.
thought. Yeah, just a thought. That was like my quick little thing. But I realized about myself, I just really can't stand Brit. So I be finding any little thing like just
Right.
to reinforce that she's horrible.
She had a whole 2 minutes of screen time this episode, and you still found a issue.
Well, I'm gonna find a
Why
way
you not
to.
in your friend wedding?
Right. What's going on there?
Is that your
Um,
friend?
that's your friend? That's your friend? And so then we move on to I'm off bad. I forgot a part. Did y'all subscribe yet? Cause y'all, I know y'all still watching this episode, and I need to make sure that y'all subscribe. Like for real. That's it. But anywho, we move on to bowling with Porsha, Angela, and Cynthia. I'm sorry. Angela
And the
looks
butt.
so good.
She
Angela
did.
looks so good. And Cynthia again looked really, really good. Oh
Don't
Lord.
don't
Porsha
forget
that
the
booty.
twins. Why you forgot the
Jesus.
twins? You said 3 people.
Porsha
There were
booty.
5 people. And that's 2 people. Those are twins.
That thing is thinking, child.
Why do I just feel like she got that jumpsuit from Swag Boutique? I don't know what it was.
Letitia.
Nah, it was giving tags.
Oh,
It was definitely giving tags boutique.
Wait. It was a little disco
Um,
fever.
was this the first time that we got to see Portia's "I Dream a Genie" confessional?
no, she's had talking about the colorful outfit.
Yeah,
No,
with
we've
the high
seen it.
pony.
Yeah, no, it's
Yes.
been
Oh,
there. Yeah.
That little
oh, okay.
60s
So
moment.
Mm-hmm.
yes, oh my gosh, she looked so good there. I must have hadn't paid attention to it before.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that kind of still like I just do not like this being a thing, but then I have to realize when I'm around my she's like my second cousin, but at this point I might as well just call her my niece. When I'm watching the show, I initially think PJ ain't thinking about no damn Simon. But then I think about it, she's a baby. Time is much different. Like how she views time is much different than how an
Right,
adult
right,
can view
right.
time. And so I just even recognize it when I'm looking at my niece and how I interact with her and how I was a stranger when I was living in New York. And like now I come around and like it's like Aaron's here and it's just
Yeah.
completely has changed. And she will notice a difference. So I do have to give Porsha some grace when it comes to the whole PJ wondering where Simon is. Where the grace for me does not extend is you should never marry that man. I married that man that quick when you had a baby, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
Girl.
it's
And
just a lot.
I also feel like, granted, like I get it, but for me, it would hit a little bit differently if perhaps he was like the only father figure in her life. But we've seen that Dennis is very active in PJ's life, so
Great
Th-
point. Great point.
yeah, I don't
that's
know.
but I said that before. Remember when they were at the house and she broke down saying, I can't believe PJ's asking for Simon. Like, girl, she don't really know that man. Like Dennis is a real present father, and we can't take that
Yeah.
away from him at all. So the fact that yeah, okay, she's probably like, hey, where is he? Okay, I haven't seen him, but over time, she would definitely like it's gonna be like a distant memory to her. Like, let's be real. But I
Now
do
y'all making me change my mind.
like I'm just saying, and because again, what is she 5?
Yeah,
Five,
something like
6 years
that.
old. So again, that brain, yeah, that brain is like a sponge at this point. But all she knows is my dad is dad. Dennis is dad. So I mean, yeah, I haven't seen my other guy in a minute, but Dennis is dad.
My other guy. No, but that does make sense. I actually agree with both of you guys on that because it would be a bigger void if Dennis was not there. Simon was a bonus, not the original. So that makes sense. Okay, so a little less grace.
No, but and you have to think about it. What do they know each other? 2 years. So if she's 6, he came in at 3, which is the time where kids start to notice who their people are. They're like they're calling for you. So he came at a
Yeah.
spongy time.
Yeah.
Spongy.
No, that's fair. Of course, they bring up the Shamea of it all. Porsha says, as of now, she doesn't have the capacity to basically go through a divorce with her best friend. But I think one of the things that Porsha has to recognize, and maybe she isn't able to recognize it because what she's going through, but it's not just now, Porsha. It's not just randomly now that Shamea is having these issues. It's kind of been forever. The reason I don't have much grace for Shamea is because I can recognize that I've been Shamea in friendships, and I want her to recognize that like all you're doing is you're gonna always look like you the problem when you keeping your mouth shut and not
Hmm.
saying and expressing it because it builds up and like Jared said, now you trying to blow this bitch head off, but she's going through a
Hmm.
divorce.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it's never gonna look good. So we then get to Angela's house and we get to meet her mother. First of all, rest in peace to her mother. She
Mm.
recently just lost her mother.
No, I
Crazy.
didn't even hear about
Yeah.
that.
Also, too, rest in peace to Drew's dad as well. Yeah. Like
Oh
it's a
my
lot
I
of
think
God.
that's, I think it's like before or after the episode aired. Angela posted and
mm-hmm.
mentioned that her mother has passed away since then.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
sad. Okay, I'm sorry to hear
yeah.
about that.
very sad. She said, in the confession, she's talking about like how it's such an honor to take care of her mother and
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And she did say that the house that she bought them was 490K, but come to find out that the mother decided to move out and said she wanted to be more self sufficient, which I took as maybe this is me putting 20 on 10, but I kind of feel like the conversation with Amari when all that happened, Angela basically said, I want my sister out the house.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That's my house. And the mother basically said, it sounds like the sister may not be all the way there, and the mother is
Mm-hmm.
still like, taking care of her
Fighting.
in a certain type of way. Right. So she's like, well, I'm not kicking my baby out, so I just leave the house altogether. Like that's the vibe I was getting from that conversation.
And you know what's crazy? And she was torn, and I can tell by that conversation. Like I really felt it. That whole scene was super genuine, almost forgetting that
Oh,
cameras
I
were there,
cried.
especially for mom.
I
Oh my
cried.
God. Did you
I
really?
did. I did. I was
Okay.
triggered by that whole conversation.
Okay, well that's fair.
Yeah, I was triggered by the
it
whole
was it
conversation.
was a real conversation, and you can tell where, and being a mom too, there, especially with two, you're trying to figure out, there's always one that needs just a little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell that the sister, whatever it is, whether it's mentally, financially, or everything in between,
Mm-hmm.
the mother needs, she knows that, Angela, you are good on your own, you have your husband, you have everything, and I'm grateful for everything that you've given to give into me. But with that being said, you then circle back to the mom still fighting every battle. And you heard what Angela said, where it triggered her to when she was a child. And she
That's
said,
where I
how,
started to cry. Mm-hmm.
and you used to
Because that's
always
yep.
take up for that person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
I know I've talked to you. I've talked to you about this, Danielle. Like
hmm
that was like how it was with my baby brother.
hmm
It was like it was almost as if just because I'm a certain type of way doesn't
doesn't mean I
mean
don't need you.
that I don't need you. And the way that I felt my mother would like run to his every beck and call, and
hmm
how it almost felt like for me it was like anything could happen. Like not anything could happen, like
Right.
don't get me wrong, I knew I was loved, I knew I was supported and all that great stuff, but when you're a kid all you do is compare and contrast.
hmm
And like now when I look back on it, I get it. Like okay, I get it. He still needs you. I don't. You no shade, but that's just how it goes. And it took me a while to get that, but just seeing that and just realizing like, oh my God, like she's in her what 40s, and it wasn't
Yeah,
even her experience. It was her daughter's experience, and she still was able to like bridge it back to what she felt growing up. And it was just, yeah,
absolutely.
it was wild. But one of the things that I would like to say, I was thinking about Jared when I wrote this note. When come to find out, she wasn't telling half truths, Jared. That is actually what happened. It was about fucking cleaning. Her and Charles are not talking over fucking cleaning. It was not a half truth. That's what it
Wow.
was.
Well, yeah. Well,
Which also adds on to my whole Charles is an asshole impression
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little part of me feels like he said, "Well, your daughter don't clean," and the mother just
Don't talk
went
about my
left.
birth.
It
You heard,
sounds
but
like,
you see what she said? She said, but don't talk about my child. Like she actually
yeah.
was she was very defensive. And I was like, I heard that.
But can you
The
imagine
wrong
though?
person to be defensive with.
But if you looking at this man who you know that cheated on your daughter and now he complain about she don't clean, like bitch, really? Like
But that's why the mother is pretty much saying, like, she
yeah,
could have did him. She really could have did
hmm
him in, and we don't know what that conversation really looked like because we're getting a nice version. She could have been like, well, who the
yeah.
hell you think you talking to? You ain't did all right, and blah blah blah. She would have
Well,
went down
yeah.
the line.
She said she walked up on him and all that stuff. But my whole thing with that is like if
She
she
said,
decided to stay with him, that's no longer for you to bring it up. If I'm not bringing it up,
she said,
Yeah.
I wasn't
like
scared
learn
no
your
more.
place. No shade, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like
Yeah.
you can't be more mad than me about my situation, if that makes sense.
But
hmm
when you open the gate to people, they have a right to an opinion, and they have a right to say it to you because now you've
That
voiced their opinion.
I agree with. That I
hmm
do agree with.
Yeah.
Like I said, we found out that the mom in charge has not spoken in 3 years, literally over cleaning. So then we move on to I ain't really have much to say about Kelly and Chloe. They was just driving.
Yeah. I literally had
Cool.
nothing. I don't think the only thing we learned is that there's gonna be a Nana's in Silver Spring. I mean, no, Sandy Springs. Lord, I'm
Sandy
in Maryland.
Spring.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sandy
and I
Springs.
ain't even clock it when you said it. Um, so then we move on to like a scene that was just I was gagged by how great this scene was. I was like, please bring your mom back so we could get some genuine Drew.
Pastor
Um,
Janetta.
That's the
hello,
Janetta. She ate her up. Then she on her own couch while she was doing the pina colada.
hello. She said, so during her mom are sitting down talking about the whole Ralph of everything, the whole divorce and the children and things like that. And Drew basically lets us know that the mom flew in to help her, which was very nice and kind. Drew says that Ralph is a better co-parent than a husband. And it's funny because the mom speaking true facts, she's like, well, it's weird that he can be such a great co-parent to you, but in order to be like a true great co-parent, he has to recognize that you are the mother of his children. So if he is throwing you through the ringer in court, how
Yeah.
great of a co-parent could he actually be?
Right.
I said, come on, mama, with the bars, child.
Mm-hmm.
Bars. Do you
Mm-hmm.
hear me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um the grandmother also brings up the fact that she feels like the kid's mental health is in jeopardy and that
Mm-hmm.
she has recognized some changes in the children. And then that's kind of like where Drew like loses it. And I felt for Drew in that moment. Like I felt like that was extremely genuine. Like she was not expecting that whatsoever.
No.
Right.
No. And you know
Yeah.
the thing. Go ahead, Jared. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I it was really and when you say that when she broke down and we got that because number one, no mother wants to hear that they can't control their house, right? And then your mom is your worst critic. As any mother could say, their mom, if they have their mother alive on this earth, their mother is their worst critic. So for your mom to come to you as a woman in your house and say, listen, they're out of control. And when I can't control them and they ain't listening to me, you got a big problem here. I'm serious. And I think that that was in translation. You have to think about it. Drew's kids, they aren't bad kids. They're just normal, regular kids. They're getting into things. But when you don't have that around, you're used to a two-parent household, but one's in the basement, one's in the attic, and all the above. Now you're starting to see, oh, this shit is kind of hard by myself. Oh, they're a handful.
Mhm.
So
And
that's
Yeah.
what
also, I
happened.
kind of go ahead, Jared. Go ahead, because I know you were gonna say something.
No, I think it also hit Drew hard too because it's kind of like you see in that moment that she. I don't know if she saw it then, but like Ralph has this lady's head spinning so much that she don't even recognize what's going on with her own children.
Ooh,
Yes. Yes, Jared.
Jesus.
Really.
I think, and also too, from the viewpoint of the children, I think the routines and everything looks completely different now, and
Mm-hmm.
they are recognizing that they don't have the same structure. So
Mm-hmm.
even though Dad is in the basement and you just walk down the stairs, you recognize that it's different. And if they are following that court order, which I truly believe only one of them is following that court order, that they that they can't speak about the divorce. I can only imagine if Drew is following it and Ralph is not. I'm very curious of the things that he could possibly be saying to the children. And then also, like again,
When
if
he's
both of them are not speaking, they're not able to really explain what's happening. So the kids are kind of just floating around in the ether.
think
Something's different, but you can't tell me what's happening.
think about it. I can be going from 10 to 100 right now with this. But listen, because Ralph is in the basement, that's an automatic question for the kids. Because remember, we saw the little daughter who gets into everything. Where's daddy? Where is he? Asking little things. So when they trot downstairs and your kids ask daddy, why can't you come up to the kitchen? But you know that mommy's in the kitchen and he's like, I can't right now. But why? You were just in the kitchen. Because kids really work your nerve that
Oh
bad
yeah.
to where they keep pressuring you like, why? Why aren't you coming upstairs? Come up with me. Now the little girl is dragging daddy up the stairs. But if he stepped 1 foot over the threshold, he could have a warrant out because it's
No,
actually
that's a
that
great point.
serious. So the kids will, playing devil's advocate, the kids will make you, they almost make it impossible for you not to say anything to the kids. And maybe you're not saying it in a nasty way, but you still could be letting them know, like, listen, mommy and daddy are going through something right now. We can't be in the same room. Now it's up to their imagination to see what that looks like. And they're smart. The kids are smart nowadays. They're Googling everything.
No, you're
Yeah.
right.
On that point though, so this is my thing, and this whole case to me is just so unhinged. Mind you, I'm no legal
Yeah.
ego by any means, but I don't know like who this Judge is. This whole situation is crazy, from the whole basement and the living situation. And the craziest part was them not being allowed to tell the child. I don't give a fuck. Like, there's no authority on this planet that's going to tell me what I cannot tell my child. Like, I don't
Right.
understand
Exactly.
how that. I don't understand how Ralph is trying to get the lawyer dismissed. Like, how you just decide you don't like Drew lawyer, so you're going to get her thrown off the case. Like, the whole thing
Wasn't
is
that
insane to
crazy?
me. Yeah, I don't understand this case at all. Who this
But
judge is or what the fuck they got
but
going
you
on.
know what? But you know what, Jared? Divorce and family court is a nasty thing. And again,
You'd be shocked by the things they could do to you in
it would
family
it
court.
is a nasty, nasty. And when you're doing family court and divorce, because you're now fighting over the custody of the kids and you're fighting over the marital things. So it's a double whammy. So now you hitting each other with the jugular. So at the end of the day, the only reason why the judge even did a cease and desist on both of them talking to both of the kids is because they brought that to the judge. They brought something nasty to make the judge say, you know what? Both of y'all don't say nothing to the kids. That's the reason why.
He's turning the kids against me. No, she's turning the kids
So
against me.
so
Yeah,
we
You know
ended so we
what?
ended all. Cease
Yeah, it's a
everything.
gag order on both of y'all.
that's
Yes,
crazy.
that's
Nobody can
Yeah,
say anything negative about mommy.
yeah. They brought
okay.
that
No
to
one can
they
say
brought that
anything
to the
negative
court.
about daddy. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Absolutely, yes,
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
yes.
Because it also may be in how she's saying it. Like we're not allowed to talk to our kids about it. When really it's like, no, you're not allowed to say anything negative about
Yeah.
daddy. You're not
Right.
allowed to say anything negative about mommy.
Well,
And we know they're
because you're
both liars, so
and
I'm
we
sure
know
they're
they're
lying
both
to the children.
liars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, 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 exactly. Mm-hmm.
I will say my last couple notes about this was that my heart did break for Drew when she got that information, and then when she walked away, and then when we came back, and the mom was like breaking down,
With the
and I was like,
chef.
Now,
yes,
now, how did the chef get in it?
That
That was
blew
my
me
note.
out.
wow,
But did you see that?
girl,
Did you
Drew
see
has
the
so much
chef was
help.
already going in the living room by the time Drew was walking out? I said, well, wasn't she just at the soccer? She was doing the scallop.
This may be me going a little too deep into it, but I feel like maybe the mom was waiting for Drew to leave so she can like actually break down and cry. Like she
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to do it in front of her daughter. Like you already going through so much. I don't want you to see me be emotional about what you're going through.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Who knows? But so yes, so then we move on to I guess the big shablam of the episode with Shamia and Porsha. I will say both of them looked phenomenal. Shamia,
You
she
wanted them
still had
jeans?
Chanel earrings. She still had Chanel earrings. The jeans were crazy. I almost wrote something very misogynistic about the jeans. I'm gonna say it, but um, a
Did
married
not
woman
like
walking out with
that.
those kind of jeans,
Honey,
that
the
was
way my
crazy to me.
legs, the way my thighs and my ass cheeks would have never hit the seam of that seat of that pant. Never. I wouldn't even try those jeans on.
That was
Mm-mm.
crazy. It was giving rainbow jeans. Tell me they ain't give a rainbow
Real
vibe or some
nasty.
city trends.
That was the seat. That was a streetwalker.
Oh my, well, that's and it
Damn.
was like that in the front too. You know, it was like that in the
Yes,
front
that's what I'm
too.
saying. You can wear panties with those jeans. I know they was cutting her.
I
Shit.
cannot.
I know they cut her.
Um,
Oof.
but I will say when they first sat down, it was extremely awkward. Shamia starts off by apologizing to Portia for not being honest with her feelings about their whole relationship. The way Portia is looking at Shamia, I kept saying to myself, that is the reason why I will never make that mistake again of like holding my feelings in. Because you could just see it. Portia had the upper hand. Like Portia, it
Mhm.
was very easy for Portia to say, well, how would I know these things? You're going around talking to all these girls about our friendships, but you've yet to say it to me. And we from Shamia's own mouth, we know that's true. You
Right.
have not had the conversation. So Portia, even though a lot of shit is on camera of Portia doing some horrible shit to Shamia, they
Mhm.
doing both. They doing
They
both.
doing them both.
Even like all of that,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
still can say, well, she never said anything to me about it.
This is my first time hearing about it. You know, that's a pet peeve of ours.
Right.
Don't you ever try to circle back with me on anything from the past? Because what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Mm.
So, of course, Shamia starts to unload on Portia about all the things that she had an issue with, and Portia sighs. And Shamia's like, "What? I mean, what are you tired? Am I boring you, Portia?" In my opinion, did y'all feel like Shamia was just being a little too aggressive?
I felt like Portia was being passive aggressive and it was pissing me off.
It
You
was
think so?
both. Wait, why do you think that, Jared? And I'm gonna say why I think it was both of them. They were going off of each other's energy. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I could see how Shamia was coming off as aggressive. To me, it wasn't aggressive; it was more so emotional. Like she was just getting some stuff out
Okay.
there she had been holding in for a long time. So, and as an Aries, I speak very passionately about things that I get emotional about, and people are quick to call it aggressive. But that's not my intention. So I think that's what maybe why I read it a little bit differently. I think Porsha, however, and it's not just with Shamia, Porsha does this all the time. She did it to Drew in Nashville. She tends to get very passive aggressive and very just kind of like sarcastic, and I think it comes out condescending, and I feel like that's what. And maybe that's her defense mechanism too. And I remember she
Yeah,
used to do it
I
with
think
Kenya a
so.
lot too.
Hmm.
Yeah, she used to do it with Kenya a lot too. So that maybe just her defense mechanism. She did kind of back off of that approach after Shamia kind of called her out about it after the yawn. But with all that being said, no, I personally did not think Shamia was being aggressive.
Now, see, okay, so like I agree. I think that is Portia's definitely that's her defense mechanism. Like that's what she does. Because remember, at one point, Portia was not that girl. She was fighting for her life, crawling at the top, trying to be have her voice being heard. Right? She wasn't always this vocal Portia that we know today. Right? So, with that being said, Shamia came off crazy because I think Shamia was going off of the emotions and her off of this horse of people in her ear. So she was basing off, she was coming into this talk already on a high horse of, listen, I'm coming here with people been in my ear for years telling me about Portia. I think that was really on the top of her brain versus in the back of her mind. And she came in. Now we know that now because at the end of the entire meeting, she was breaking after all of that, she still broke down and was like, I don't even want this. Like she didn't really she stood 10 toes down the first 10 minutes in whatever little back and forth they had, but she didn't go all the way with it, which is why I say it was both. And then Portia was just kind of going off of that once she realized that Shamia was like, oh, this is a real sit down, this is kind of serious. Once Portia realized that, I think she was like, that's why she was like, she did the sighing and she was just like, not this bores me, but I can't believe this girl is really trying to do this on the show. And she noticed she kept like reiterating that, like, you're doing this for the show, for the show. So that's why I'm saying it was both of them. They're feeding off of each other.
No, I guess I agree with both of you guys, but a little part of me, like, I do agree with the whole point of like this is a show, so we have to bring up like these certain parts of our friendships. But I just feel like there's a better way to do it. I feel like Shamia is like really harping on this whole thing with Portia, in my opinion. Like it just seems for like the studio thing really bothered me when she was with her sisters. It's like, all right, girl, like come on, but so Shamia says the main thing that really hurt her was hearing that Miss Diane said to not trust her and she's not a good friend. And I'm a little confused for myself as to why Porsha would tell her that.
Same.
I understand that she will eventually see it, because it was recorded, but she found out about this and we nowhere near the reunion. So it was much longer, much longer time span that you could have just kept that to yourself.
But do you want to know what I think about that in theory too? I think that because remember they said they've had falling out in the past. I think now that the girls are at their big age and what they're at now, I think they finally got when because which is what I'm saying is Portia and Shamia weren't good really since Portia not showing up to the wedding, they weren't really that good. They were good, but there were some things that could have there were some wrinkles in the friendship that were never addressed. So they lingered into the show being filmed, right? So I think now, and when Miss Diane said that, I think something came about recently to where both girls knew about what their mom's situation is because I feel like it's almost like grown folks business. Like that was something that happened when I was younger and I maybe didn't know the full story, and now that I'm an adult, I received the full tea. And I think Portia telling Shamia that at the time was her telling her friend, like, this is what my mama said, not knowing that there was something bigger brewing between the moms. That's my
What the hell are
theory.
you talking about? That's a horrible theory.
Is it really? Am
Only
I
because we know exactly why Miss Diane said that. Remember, because she was mad that Portia brought the bone back. So I'm saying I'm trying to figure out why Portia would just say it. Like, why would she tell her that?
I still think that there's something there, something sneaky. I don't
No,
know.
there's something brewing, but I'm saying I feel like Portia, just knowing, I don't know
You think it was
Portia,
being
just seeing how
messy?
Portia act. I think even my mama said da 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 da.
Yeah,
Like I
that's
feel like
fair.
Porsha said some shit like that. Like that's how I just feel like it came out. And again, it's like she's trying to like double down on it.
Yeah.
Like, see, even my mama said this. You've been moving funny. Like I truly feel like it was like that.
I went Jaguar right. All right.
Right, you did, bitch. You really went around the mulberry bush.
I'm also confused, and I hope I'm not veering too far off to the left either, but I'm confused by. So, did you guys see the post that Porsha did before the episode aired?
Yes. And deleted it.
Yeah. So I was really confused by that. Well, it came out before the episode aired, and then you know she's going off on Shamea about talking about Miss Diane. But then I watched the episode, and I'm like, well, she didn't really say anything. Actually, when she had the opportunity to perhaps say something, she turned it down when the production asked her. So I was really confused about what Porsha was so upset about.
No, that's a fair point. But basically, Porsha says they haven't really been talking like that or really been that cool like that since filming has started. Shamea, in her confessional, makes a really good point that for the longest, Porsha has always been the only peach between the two of them. So we always got to see their friendship from Porsha's perspective. And now that Shamea's here, we get to see it from the other side. But the gag is, Shamea, we didn't need to see your side. We saw who Porsha was in our relationship, sweets. Which this is why people have such a hard time with taking your side or like really having like true sympathy for you, because we didn't need to hear you to see what was happening or to understand what was going on.
Crazy tale.
It's crazy. Porsha basically, I guess this is when she hits her limit and she's just like, can we just stop? And all I could think about was when all that shit happened with Phaedra. And she said, Shamea, just don't. I can't take it. And Porsha is a person, I'm sorry, with my personality, no, you got to get this because you just try, like, you got to get this in the moment, sweets. I'm sorry if it's not in the most opportune time for you, but sweets, I was trying to tell you. I know it's not proper to be an I told you so asshole from time to time, but that's what I got from that. It was like the same thing. It's like the moment I'm holding you accountable, even though I agree with Jared that it may not be the right time to hold me accountable. But then Shamea also says to Porsha, well, when can I ever hold you accountable? Because you're more often than not in a fragile state, which makes me feel that is also, would it be a defense mechanism when you're trying to avoid a conversation? Like, I can't do it right now because I'm going through so much. Is that a defense mechanism?
No, that's you not holding
right? Or no?
No, that's you not holding accountability.
Or avoiding accountability.
That's just avoiding it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because she said, would it be real with you more often than not? You are fragile. And I was like, ooh.
That was a dig. No, that was a dig.
You always playing the victim.
Literally. That Candy, you know I'm not no victim. You know I'm not no victim. But one of the things that I did appreciate when Porsha said, what can I do? You know, what can I do to fix this relationship? Because I can't really deal with I can't deal with this breakup. I don't want to break up with you. And
did you believe that?
I did.
You did.
I believe they have real. No, this friendship is very real. The difference is, I think that they have to. I don't think that they recognize. Okay, I give you an example. Jared, you know this particular person. I'm not going to say their name, but when you have a friend for so long, and you are growing in a certain type of way and the other person isn't really growing in that certain type of way, but you still kind of operate on the same foundation, but the foundation really hasn't grown, and you just keep trying to make it work because it's out of habit. But recognizing, like, it's almost as if, like, when you have a friendship for that long, if y'all not operating in the same way that y'all always operated, it feels like there's an issue. When really you have to accept that, no, we just different people now. We've grown apart. There's no beef. There's no drama. We've just grown apart. I see the world very differently than you do. And I think that's what they're going through, because you can see when they start interacting with each other, it's just very easy to just naturally fall back into the flow of things.
Right.
But then guess what happens? It percolates and you fall out again. And after a while, you have to learn, no beef. I just think who we've grown to, it doesn't align any longer.
Grew apart.
I feel like I'm much more succinct when I'm not yelling. I'm not umming. I'm not knowing. Maybe I should stop yelling.
Well, sweetie, calm down.
Wow.
Maybe you
Who
need to
knew?
calm down.
Oh, maybe I'll make myself calm down. Who
Oh,
knows?
yeah.
Um,
Well,
fuck y'all hoes. Okay. Any other thoughts before we move on to our favorite segment, ladies?
I have one more thing.
Go ahead,
Uh,
sis.
so I just want to say I don't subscribe to the idea that Portia didn't want Shamia on the show. I don't think that's the case. I think,
yeah.
like Portia mentioned, I think she wanted Shamia to be a peach holder. I think the
Hmm.
issue is that Portia, as a veteran housewife and a veteran reality star, I think Portia came back into this show wanting to and thinking that she can control every part of her narrative. And the problem is that with Shamia being her bestie, Shamia is a part of her narrative. And now Shamia is not
Yes.
operating in a way that suits the narrative that Portia wanted. And when
See,
Shamia was a friend, it was easy for her to navigate that. Now that Shamia is a peach holder, she can't really do that anymore. And I think that's the bigger issue.
Eat.
absolutely.
Eat.
Hmm.
Well, that's getting clipped.
Yeah.
That is definitely getting clipped. Jesus
Hmm.
Christ. Okay,
Wait that
girl.
up.
But okay, let's move on to where we at?
Mm-mm.
So guys, I think who I think needs to calm down would be this episode was difficult, but I'm gonna have to say for me it would be Shamia.
Mm.
Shamia has to calm down for me. I don't like the battery being put in her back for very valid feelings that she has,
Right.
but play this a little bit better. You're not playing it well. You're
Hmm.
giving your friend, which everyone can see, is not the best friend to you.
Hmm.
But in the way that you're playing this off, like the way you're playing it, you're giving Porsha a lot of leeway to basically be viewed as like y'all on equal footing when it's not, when it comes to y'all friendship.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to say, Shamia, I need you to calm down.
Mm. All right.
For me, it's going to be Miss Diane. Um, Miss Diane, I don't
You
know
better
what you
watch
did.
yourself.
I don't know what you did to Mama Morton, but there's something about the way that you move that I don't fuck with. And like Danielle said, even seeing that throwback picture, there was some
You already
slick
know
shit
you
going
sick.
on.
It's so slick shit. I seen that. That shit.
Yeah,
You
and we
and
gonna
your
find
daughter.
out what it was.
I mean, you think I told you I either think she was messing around with Mr. Morton or she defrauded one of them daycares. One of them too,
Good
because let's not
Friday.
forget. I'm serious. That allegedly, because let's be very clear that the civil rights icon is not Mama Diane's family. That's the daddy side. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people giving them a lot of leeway, like, oh well, that's her. No, no, no. She married into that family
She married
because
into
we
that
see what
family.
Porsha family's like on that show she had.
I
But go ahead,
know.
Danielle. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Honestly, and this is a little off, and she got about maybe 5 minutes of screen time, but that's all I needed. Um, Kelly, you need to calm down. And you know why? Because with all that coinage, and you didn't take your daughter for driving school, you decided to drive your daughter yourself, and you live in a metropolitan area in the city of Atlanta, and you decided to let your 17-year-old drive the car without going to driving school first. You need to calm down, because why would you play with your insurance and your life?
So, before we end the episode, I would just like to say to everyone that watches us, Danielle's from up north. She don't know how driving actually works. So, like when she's saying a driving school, I'm like, who the fuck went to driving school to
You
learn
have
how
to.
to drive?
It's actually the law here.
That
So
is crazy.
defensive
I
driving.
went to I
So
took driver's ed in high school.
Oh
no,
yeah,
I
everyone,
mean
yeah,
no,
driver's
a
Yeah.
ed.
pri no. You need a private company to get on the parkway.
Um.
You need to.
This
You
Oh
ain't
bitch is
driving
no.
my
talking to
shit.
two exact like
Oh
what?
yeah. No, not in Georgia.
Girl.
Yeah,
Right.
no, 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 no. That shit was scary. She played with her life and
Girl,
insurance. I
driving
can
at
believe that.
literally driving at 11. Me.
Well, don't
Ooh.
say it too loud, child.
Not a
That's a
good
Dyke's
episode.
case.
Not a good episode for my parents. Look.
Nah, how is that, bitch? So dog broken home.
But
Got it.
right. Double like a broken home and just a broken childhood child.
So just
Anywho,
broken.
I'm kidding. I am kidding. But anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed me not yelling. I'm sure you guys are very happy that you guys have your earlobes and everything. please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. We really appreciate y'all. And please comment. I enjoy when y'all comment on YouTube. Yeah. So
even when y'all fry.
well, yeah, girl. Anywho, peace.
Bye guys.